only the manual color balance set, 18mm for Canon with kit lens versus the Sigma. Provide you with the time to actually make a photo.
Dxo Photos.
Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we'll be testing the 18mm for Canon with Canon APSC. We'll be going through the Sigma 18-35, which is probably the best lens for an APS-C you can buy. We will go with Canon 10-18, zoom lens 18-55. Let's see which of those lenses will have the best results. And as you can see in the background, those are our images. First I will show you a couple of those and you tell me which image is from which lens. Everything, as you can see here, there is only the manual color balance set. No changes whatsoever, only the regular lens corrections in Dxo done automatically. So how can you change all the images at once? You just click Ctrl A, everything is selected, and for example you can type in here, let's go with 5000. As you can see, all the previews are being changed. That means that every image is being edited at the same time. So every lens had a little bit different color balance set automatically by the camera. So let's go with just 280 around. This is pretty much the colors that were there, as you can see. This is very natural. And let's go and edit everything from here. So tell me, which is the best image, what was the lens, and can you really see the difference? Afterwards I will show you a couple of edited photos with some sharpness, with not, and then we'll discuss which of the lens is better and is it really worth the price. And we will compare this with the regular test shots. So let's compare the images, test shots from the digital picture cam for all those lenses. So kit lens versus the Sigma. It's not that much of a difference in all honesty, as you can see. For 18mm, f5.6 for both of those lenses. It's very decent quality. Obviously Sigma is a little bit better and has a different barrel distortion, as you can see, because those images aren't perfect. But on the other hand, there's a lot more fringing in their regular kit lens, and the Sigma is a tad sharper, obviously. But will you see the difference? Obviously the fringing is, for example, here on the right and on the numbers. So yeah, this is visible. Sigma wins in that case. Let's move to 10-18 versus the Sigma. So this is the 10-18. This is the Sigma. Yeah, obviously there is also fringing, as you can see, and in Sigma there is a lot less of that. The colors are more accurate and there is a little bit more contrast, I would say, naturally out of the lens. So it makes post-processing a lot faster. So let's compare 10-18 versus the 18-55. This is 10-18, this is 18-55. Really, let me change the f5.6 here. Okay, and as you can see, it's working perfectly. This is everything for 5.6. Pretty much for landscape you will not be using anything else. You need the depth of field so everything will be sharp, and there you have it. The problem is where you, for example, change this to f3.5, and as you can see here, this has a color cast for the kit lens, and that's it. That's the main difference between all those lenses. For those 5.6 settings, everything is more or less the same. Obviously the kit lens is the worst. 10-18 as a more specialized lens is better, Although, as you can see here, there's also fringing. For example, here we have red. On the other hand, in kit lens here we have purple. And on Sigma, it looks a lot better in pretty much everything, but also we have a little bit of fringing. This is something that will always be there. The question is, do you really want to pay for Sigma? I would go with yes, because this is f1.8, but testing this, if you would be using this only in a daylight as 5.6 lens, there is not that much of a difference. Color fringing you can pretty much remove with one slider, then you can add sharpness, everything will be fine, nobody will see the difference. That's the bottom line. I'm using Sigma because I have nice zoom a little bit, because 10 to 18 is very wide, you won't be able to take any macro shots. I mean, it will be a very unique look. 18 to 55 is a very universal zoom lens, but Sigma, first of all, build quality, very bright, because this is f1.8 throughout everything, so in the evening, if you will be doing anything, it will provide you with the time to actually make a photo instead of waiting around for a minute or 2 minutes to snap a picture. So there's that. That's the difference, and it's not much of a difference, but just so you know, it is there. So now let's do something we should never do, which is pixel peeping. Okay, so those are our 3 panos in Affinity. Those are JPEGs. This is only a stitch from the raw files, as you can see. Let's get rid of this white part here, and like, out of the bat, if you would look at this, oh yeah, the colors are totally different. I get no idea why Sigma is so blue, but this is out of a different part of the question. 10 to 18 looks decent, and 55, like, everything more or less, I would say, is okay, except for the colors, which are totally different for any picture. So let's not talk about that. You can always fix this in post-production if you are doing this. But on the other hand, if you would not be doing this, yes, then yeah, that blue would be a problem. Okay, so the blooming of highlights is one of the pet peeves I usually have with anything, especially with older lens, retro lens. So let's look at this part here. We got something like this here, we got something like this here, and we got something like this here. Let's remove this white part so it won't bother us. And let's, like, here in 10 to 18, right now that we are seeing, I can see a lot more noise. Or maybe this is just me. A lot less noise is in 18 to 55. And in Sigma it's even less noise. Or maybe it's being removed by the color, I don't know. But let's focus on those highlights here. On Sigma they look as they look. Let's compare this with, like, on Sigma we can definitely see the stars around, all of it. On 10 to 18 it's a lot more blooming. It's not that defined. As you can see here, I can pretty much count those, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On 10 to 18, it's a lot worse. There is less contrast. And that's the bottom line. I mean, that's the bottom line. It's very, very important in the end, right? Because we want contrast, we want everything to be pin sharp, and we want those details, okay? So this is the kit lens versus the 10 to 18. In that case, I would say the 10 to 18 looks the worst for those bloomed highlights, which is pretty much a circle of white color, nothing more. On the other hand, we have a little bit more pixels here, a little bit less pixels here, sorry, so that's also something to have in mind. But just to see more or less, of course, how it looks, I would say, I mean, you tell me, can you see the difference? Would you care? I don't really think so. I think all those lenses in those settings are doing a great job. I would of course go with the Sigma because I can see a lot more details here. So let's like really zoom in and see what happens now. This is 10 to 18, this is 18 to 55. Like, there are differences, and I go with one thing. If there's less pure white and less pure black, the image is better, obviously, because we have details in the highlights and in the shadows in the blacks, and there's more details so we can figure out stuff from. But on the other hand, it's a lot less contrasty, but we can always add contrast in post-production, so there's that. So let's start. 18 to 55. Yeah, this is more or less pure white. 10 to 18. obviously a bit different. And Sigma is the least whites. Like if those are here white in 10 to 18 and in 18 to 55, maybe a little bit less. In Sigma we can see that there is some information still inside. So there you have it, guys. The answer for that, all of this, if you really are doing only landscapes, you don't care about the Sigma because it's expensive. You can go with the kit lens. It will be okay. Just use 5.6 f8. Like there's the saying, if everything looks great in f8, and there is a reason for that. This is the sweet spot for most of the lenses, f5.6 to f8. The lens is cheap, dirty cheap. You can of course get used version by someone, and everything will be okay. On the other hand, if you are doing, for example, long exposure time photography, like here, it was like 20 seconds, I believe, or something similar. In Sigma, you can do this with f1.8, for example, so you won't have to stare there for a minute or two or even more. It will pretty much remove the time twice. So that's something. Sigma is a lot more zoomish range than 10 to 18, obviously, but it's not as zoom as 18 to 55. But on the other hand, you can use this at f1.8. So unfortunately, there is no single solution for that. It's up to you, unfortunately. I cannot tell you why you should pick one over the other. Those are the differences. If you are doing a lot of nightscapes, or for example, the 18 to 35 Sigma is pretty much the closest you can get to a 50mm f1.8 on a full frame look. And this has nothing to do with the landscape, but this is something you need to get and take into account. So if you want a run and gun in the evening, Sigma on f1.8 will be your choice, because on the other lenses, starting from 4.6 or 3.5, there is no way you will be able to make any decent photos in the evening. This is everything being done on a tripod. And there you have it. So the quality, obviously the Sigma is the best from all of that. For dedicated wide range angles, if you need 10 to 18, then obviously go with the 10 to 18. But the question is, will you use it? If you are vlogging, 10 to 18 is great because it's light, it's very wide, and it's pretty much great, but you need a lot of light. Kit lens is, as they say, if something is made for everything, it's usually not good at any of those. And that's the issue. So there you have it, guys. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comment sections. Let's talk about your favorite wide angle lens and why do you prefer that over the other. And bye for now.